The Thank You Words bundle includes two products. We've got the Thank You Words stamps and Thank You Words dies. This is a similar style to what you've seen in the, Merry Trees bundle, as well as the Happy Birthday Words bundle that I've released in the past. Just really great sentiments for all of those cards where you want some big bulky greetings. I think this is great. So I've got in the stamp set, we have thank you and thanks, as well as some sub greetings to help finish out that whole phrase. So I'm going to show you some cards I've made using the stamps and dies so you can see how you can use them together. This first card has the flowers from the Pretty Posies bundle, but I stamped the thanks and white heat embossed on top of Wildberry cardstock and then cut those out using the dies. So I'm going to give you a quick tip here before we move on and I show you the other cards. When it comes to using your stamps with the dies to make sure they line up the best way possible, I find that the best way to remove the stamps from the stamp sheet so that they don't stretch out and kind of warp is to take them from the long end and kind of work it away from the stamp sheet a little bit at a time until you have it about like this. And then you're going to let it just sit for a minute, maybe in your hands or somewhere where it's not going to stick to anything. And it will kind of shrink back to its original form. I think that's the best way to do it. And then when you go to stamp it, you're going to have it in your MISTI like this. Let's say you're getting it on your paper. Get it just right. And then do that. You're going to leave it here. And then when it comes time to remove that stamp from your MISTI, you're going to remove it in the same way. You're going to kind of pull it from that long end until it peels up off the door of your MISTI. We're trying to avoid like pulling and stretching the stamp this direction. I've noticed when I'm not careful with that particular way of handling the stamp that sometimes the dies don't line up as perfectly as they could. So just a particular, tip for all of you. When it comes to putting it back on the stamp sheet so it goes back in its, right form, I tip it over kind of in my hands like this and I'll just lay it down onto something. And then when I put it back on the sheet, I'll turn that sheet over and go like that. So I've really avoided stretching out that stamp and it just helps it keep its shape as much as possible. That's just some pretty good, kind of practice to do with all of your stamp sets, especially ones that have larger greetings like this that you're going to have coordinating dies with. So in particular, when I went to die cut this particular word, I also die cut it in a special way. And I'm going to put some footage from when I was making these cards. I'm going to show it on screen for you. You want to have your dies in your die cutting sandwich and put them through your die cutting machine so that the long end goes through first. That's going to help the die from shifting around too much, because if you can imagine, if it was going through your die cutting machine like this, there's a lot of opportunity for things to kind of wiggle around as it goes through. However, when you're going through this way, it's going to go in, it'll catch that die in the squeezing of the die cutting machine, and then it can't really move around too much because it's got a larger area that it's like smushing down on. Just mechanically speaking, it's not going to shift around as much. So those are my tips for using these stamp sets that are like this, where you've got the really thin letters and then the more bulky dies that match. As long as you do those two things, careful with how you handle your stamp, and then make sure you put through your die cutting, put it the long end first, then I think you're going to get a better result when it comes to all the die cutting. Okay, let's look at the other cards I made using this bundle. So we've got this first one with the flowers. And then I have this really, really cute one. This one was a little time consuming because I had to stamp and die cut the word thanks out of 6 different colors, but I really think it was worth it. Especially because I can use all of those extra letters on other projects. I could remake this entire card, but just have the letters in different colors. So I use these little hearts. Those hearts are from the Missing Your Hugs die set, and I just cut those out in similar colors and put them around. And I love how it says, "Can't say thanks enough," how it finishes off that phrase. Here's another one. I used the radiating circles for this design on the top and bottom. And I just stamped the large thank you without cutting it out. I thought it just fit this large 5x7 card really well. So there's that one. And then this last one, I actually stamped and die cut the word thank you. And I also used the radiating circles on the background here just for a more monochromatic look. And I also used this long bar die cut to cut out those subgradings just perfectly.